Okay, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to draw your front view, and what we're going to begin with is actually the line tool. Something we need to know is what is the overall length of your car, so that as I draw the outline of my car, I know where to stop. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to zoom in here to this bottom left hand corner. This is going to be a temporary line. I may more likely get rid of this later, if not all of it. So I'm going to go ahead and click once here, my left mouse button. Now I'm just going to move in the direction I want to draw this line, and we're going to make sure that we look at our drawing carefully and look at the specification, which is DB2 for dragster body, and this is going to give us the overall length of our car. Now the line that you're drawing can be different colors. It can be red, you can make it black, you can make it any color you want. You may want to use a color possibly like red, something that stands out, so that we know later on in the game that we can get rid of this. It's more of a reference line. So I'm just going to move in the direction I want this line to be drawn. You'll obviously notice that down here at the bottom you see numbers that continue to increase or decrease. So as long as I'm moving in the horizontal direction, I'm going to type in that specification for DB2. My car measured 208 millimeters, 208, so I'm going to type in 208. You'll see that number appear at the bottom of the screen where it says length, and I'm going to hit enter. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and go to View, Zoom to Fit, and to get out of any tool, just hit your Escape key. Okay, this is just kind of a temporary, I can call it a construction line, just to give myself an idea of where my car starts and where it ends. Now I'm going to switch back to black. So remember, if you click here and that's not highlighted, this will not work. You got to make sure you highlight the stroke window and color next to it. I'm going to select black, so I'm going to continue drawing in black. So here we have two tools that we're more likely going to use, the line tool and the arc tool. Now keep in mind, under line you also have freehand. I would not use freehand for a drawing like this. So stick with line, which is also shortcut key L, and shortcut key A is for arc. But be careful, there's more than one arc. There's your 2-point arc and your 3-point arc. So I'm going to basically be talking about both. So let me go ahead and start with the line. And the reason I'm going to start with line is, according to my car, I know that my car starts right on the edge of the CO2 cartridge housing. A lot of times students will be drawing somewhere up here and they're not really sure where exactly they need to start drawing. They know it's somewhere in this general area. Well, let's keep something in mind. These large squares are 5 millimeters. These smaller squares are 1 millimeter. What you can always do, if you can measure on your drawing the distance from this bottom corner to where that line or curve begins or arc begins, then you can basically do something like this. Let's say that you measure the distance from here to where this line or arc or curve begin. Well, draw another construction line. Okay, so let's go ahead and change this to red, and you'll notice that on your drawing that maybe you start drawing, we'll say 60 millimeters up. So if I just move in the direction I want this line to be drawn, I type in 60. Okay, well, now I know exactly where I need to start drawing. I'm going to be drawing from this point over. Okay. With my drawing, it's a little bit easier. I do know that my drawing starts right along the CO2 cartridge housing, so I actually don't need any type of reference line. So I'm just going to start drawing here. I'm going to click once, and once again, let me change this back to black. I'm going to click once here. I'm going to move in the direction I want to draw. Now, once again, I have a straight line on my drawing. The question is, where do I stop? Well, measure the length of that line on your paper, and then take that measurement and type it in. And I realize that this line is actually about 65 millimeters in length, so I'm going to type in 65 and hit enter, and I just drew a 65 millimeter line. Okay, now I'm going to hit my escape key and get out of the line, and I'm now going to move over to these arc tools. Now, 2-point arc, 3-point arc. I use both, but a lot of times I think I do use more the 2-point than the 3-point. So let me show you how they both work. Let me click on 2-point arc. You're going to find that you're not going to be able just to draw one arc. You're going to have to draw probably various multiple arcs and piece them together to then make the outline of your car. So with a 2-point, you can click once, that's the starting point, Your second click is your endpoint. Let's just say I click here. And then as you move your mouse up or down, you then need to decide where that third click is going to be. Let's say I'm going to click right here. Okay, so that's a 2-point arc. We hit Control Z. A 3-point arc works a little differently. I'm going to hit 3-point, and I'm actually going to go, first is going to be the starting point. That's my first click. My second click is going to be my midpoint, and my third click is going to be my endpoint. Okay, so you can see how they both are different. All right, let me hit Control Z. Now, this is really, in this part of the drawing, you can be very precise and accurate by picking up your ruler and measuring where certain parts of your lines and arcs end just by using a ruler on your paper, and then using reference lines or construction lines to figure out where these points are. Counting grid spaces can also be very useful. And at the same time, sometimes you're just going to be eyeballing it and comparing what's on your screen to what's on your paper. Okay, so I'll let you figure that out. I'm sure you'll be able to get this as close and accurate as possible using whatever method is easier and best for you. I'm going to go ahead and draw my front view outline. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to actually draw an arc, 2-point arc, kind of like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue moving. Now remember, this is my endpoint here. So I'm going to draw another arc here. And this is where an area that we need to talk a little bit about. The specification that we've referred to for, I believe it's A6 and A7, talks something about the minimum amount of material around the axle hole. You can touch this edge, but you cannot draw through it. Okay, so for example, I could draw an arc right here, but whatever I do, I need to make sure I bend this arc, and it needs to be either touching, but it cannot go inside, so that would not be allowed, but I could be outside of it is fine, or even right along the edge like that. Okay? Alright, so keep that in mind. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and continue drawing here. I'm going to use my line tool. I'm going to start here right on the front. Okay, same thing here. I can't just draw through this area. Now, sometimes I've seen some of you with designs that maybe they go up, but at some point you're going to have to go around this area here. So I'm going to come around, and then I could come either straight back up again, or maybe on some of your designs I've seen some of you kind of go over like this. Okay, so just keep this in mind that this is the area I want you to stay out of. Okay, around the CO2, excuse me, around the axle hole. Now I'm going to go ahead and click once again on my arc tool. I'm going to click here, and here's where, as I get closer and closer to finishing my drawing, I got to pay close attention to this thickness here. This is, I believe, DB7. This is the minimum thickness between your front and your back axle. So I'm going to go ahead and place a arc here, and I'm going to pause for a moment. I don't want to get too far. I want to check my work, so I'm going to use the dimension tool. The dimension tool can be very helpful just to temporarily check my measurements. So I'm going to click once. And I'm not going to click a second time. I'm just going to put my mouse right here, and you can see I'm legal. This needs to be at least 10. Okay, I could have obviously made it thinner if I so choose, but according to my drawing it's 10, and maybe I can leave it at 11, or if I want to fix it I can recreate that line and put it at 10. Okay, sometimes you can put these temporary dimensions on your drawing, and you can just use those as references. So I can possibly put that dimension right there for now. I can go ahead and erase this arc. I can draw a new arc, and keep in mind that I do not want to go past that point right there. So I can sometimes use dimensions to help me keep my card specs and draw the minimum thickness, which in this case is 10. Okay, there's a lot of things you can do here to get creative. I've even seen some kids take lines, draw a line, temporary line from here out, type in 10, and then they know that when they start drawing that arc, they cannot go into that line. They have to be on the edge of that line or further out. So get creative. Just find techniques and ways that work best for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue drawing. I'm going to go ahead and finish this drawing here. So according to my drawing, I have another bend somewhere right here. I'm going to go ahead and now start working my way down. Remember, you're drawing your design. I'm just showing you how my design is drawn. Take what I'm doing and apply it to your design. And once again, I've seen some of you kind of come up right here, and I've seen some of you also kind of do something similar to what I'm doing. Remember, you draw what you designed, okay? I'm just helping you out here by drawing my car. Alright, so that's my completed front view. Once again, I'm going to make sure I have a complete outline. You can see I have a complete outline here. Okay, and I'm going to check a few things once again. Let me make sure that this is a minimum. There it is, minimum of 10. Good. Okay, I can also use the dimension tool to check some other specifications just in case. And make sure that we stayed outside or just touching the edge of that outline around the front and rear axle. Now keep in mind that this line right here, let me click on it, that red line right here, is eventually something I want to get rid of. You can see I'm having a little bit of trouble selecting it, so I can sometimes click and drag. Oops! I can sometimes go ahead and click and drag and put a box around something, and I can hit delete. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save my work here, and in the next video we're going to be talking about the top view.